Good morning. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Nosi. I'm a South African and I currently live in Europe. I work in England. Um, Before I'm everything, I'm a social worker. I've got many skills that are all over the place. I've worked as a researcher. I've got qualifications that are all over the place. I've got a qualification in research. I've got a qualification in demography. But one qualification that gives me satisfaction and I'm currently exploring because also it's giving me good money than in South Africa is social work. Every day when I go to bed, um, and I've changed the life of a child, a youth, a young woman, and the family. I can sleep at night and say, I've responded to my calling. So I'm doing something that I like. And the purpose of this video is to empower social workers. People have been made to pay a lot of money to relocate and work as professionals in other country. I made a deal with myself that there's no social worker who will ever pay money for possible questions. So I would like to share with you possible questions that might be asked during interviews. These are not real questions, but use your own mind. You are highly educated. You use social work theories to solve cases. So you can listen to these questions and use them for your benefit. I'm not going to make long videos, but I'll make some few videos that can empower you, and I'll keep on empowering you because in as much as I have practiced, I needed to also practice when I came to Europe. So let's start together. When you work with children in Europe, I haven't worked with adults yet, but I'll tell you when I when I work with adults, assessments are very important. Risk assessments. Social workers will know what I mean about risk assessments. We assess. We studied social work theories. We're social workers, even though we're criticized by other people as if we don't do our work. Our work uses a lot of mind because we look after families, we do risk assessments. We do risk assessments for children, we do risk assessments for families. So let's start with the first question, but towards the end, or I'll do another video that is empowering you about the things to consider when doing assessments. I think that will need a new video to avoid this video being too long. As I give you these questions, I might be tempted to give some answers, but use your own mind so that you don't all quote me on these questions. But I've done many interviews and people found me as an interesting candidate. I guess sometimes it has to do with my personality and also my experience. I'm able to construct good responses in questions, and the panelists, okay, think that I know my story. So I thought maybe let me share with you. Just search and also empower yourself by going on YouTube and checking others who are more experienced than me working overseas, you know. Just to mention that I did my master's degree at the University of Dundee, master's in advanced social work studies. So I've been to Europe for quite a while. I'm well traveled. I'm knowledgeable, so you can use me as your source. Thank you so much. The question that could be asked to you as the first question is the question that I also use to ask people when I'm the chairperson of the panel in interviews in South Africa, in the Eastern Cape, at the Department of Social Development, where I worked as a deputy director for research, social work research, and demography. So that question would be, why are you applying for this post, and what skills, experience, and knowledge you have gained that you could bring to this post? The best way to answer this question is to first talk on a personal level. Most you are applying for the post for various reasons, né? But you can mention that you wanted to develop yourself further. You can mention that you wanted to maybe broaden your horizons, to gain more work experience. I always mention that I felt like I'm experienced in working with children in South Africa, but I wanted now to change lives for children internationally, to enhance cultural competence, where you will be meeting people of various cultures, children of various cultures, and also to build your network in the global village that we live in. And also now you can mention, show them that you have researched maybe we call them LAs here. You have researched it and tell them about their total population, and also mention their tourist attractions, maybe if they have such things like that, and say also you've been eager to visit their tourist attractions. Mention the LA or the county where you will be working. That was on a personal level, it was about you, né? But now professionally, tone it a bit now and talk about your skills, knowledge, and experience. I have experience working with children and families, for an example. I have experience working with women and children, for an example. I have experience doing direct work with children. Direct work with children will be the work where you want to observe a child, you want to gather their views. There are various skills we use to interview children, especially when they are still young and cannot talk for themselves. Check it. I don't want to tell you because I want that creativity to come out. I want us to be a group of people who are creative. Come, let's have these discussions and we talk, and you can talk to me privately, and then we discuss it now. You can make an example. I currently work for the Department of Social Development, where I do 1, 2, 3, 4. I have skills in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I can transfer. I'm quite knowledgeable of the Children's Act number 38 of 205. That's the first one. Again, talk about your assessment skills. Remember, I mentioned the importance of doing those assessments that are very important here in Europe. Now, when you work here, where you say, for an example, in my country, be it South Africa or Zimbabwe, I do assessment of a child in need where there are no safeguarding concerns. And this is similar to the Section 17 assessment done in the UK. I also do child protection assessments that are similar to Section 47 assessment done in the UK, where the child is at risk of significant harm. By significant harm, I mean a gross impairment of a child's development, either physically, emotionally, sexually, through neglect. Okay, let's talk about this one. When a child is in need, the child is not in high risk, is not sexually abused, is not physically abused, is not emotionally abused, but they are concerned. Maybe the child comes to school dirty, the child comes in school smelling, the child things that might be indicating that there are interventions that are needed, which are not as harsh as the child protection needs, where there are risks. Check also the difference between child in need and also child protection assessment, guys. So talk to them and say, in assessments, in undertaking assessments, what do you use? We use the assessment triangle. What is the assessment triangle? The assessment triangle is where we look into the child's development needs, the parent incapacity, and family and environmental factors. That is very important. It's it always comes out in interviews now. So in child's development needs, you will talk about the child's health, education, self-care skills. Do they brush their teeth? Behavioral and emotional development, family and social relations. How do they relate to family members? How do they relate to siblings? Are they rude to siblings? Are they fighting? How do they relate to family? That's under child's development means, which is something that you would assess. And then parent capacity, that is your basic care, safety, emotional warmth at home, stimulation, stability, guidance, and boundaries. And then the third one that you would assess is family and environmental factors, that is housing. Does the family have access to house, income, social integration, resources, wider family history, and functioning? Remember, a child is poor and need our interventions if they live on the streets and they don't have a proper house to stay. So mention those things. That is very important, that triangle assessment, guys. And then you can also say, I also possess risk assessment skills. I said assessment skills first, and now I'm saying risk assessment skills. I'm able to assess risk and take appropriate action to safeguard a child. We use here the term safeguarding, which we don't use in South Africa. We don't say safeguarding in South Africa, no, guys. Also compare those things. Then you can say, I have communication skills. I'm a good communicator. Sell yourself on communication. I possess great communication skills, verbally and written, and talk. Conflict resolution skills. How do you resolve conflict? Continue, guys, and say, and talk about the legislations, maybe your knowledge of legislations, your understanding of the Children's Act number 38 of 2005. You can talk about your Domestic Violence Act 1998, that is South African. Then continental. Along with these, I use legislation such as the United Nations. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children. There's a Hague one. Check those international legislations that protect children. Continental. There's an African Charter on Children's Rights. There's a UN Refugee Act. Quote them. And then talk about international legislations like the European Union on Children's Rights. And talk about it provide guidance on matters regarding children. So since maybe South Africa is a member, it informs my practice on child-related issues such as trafficking and adoption. Guys, sell yourself. Those are international. I'm not going to tell you. You've studied this at university, but I'm just telling you the question. So be creative in answering it, because I don't want to give answers, United Kingdom. Now focus now on United Kingdom. If you want to come to United Kingdom and say, in addition to the Children's Act of 1989, which is South Africa, there is Children in Care Act of 2002, which is UK related, care planning, placement and review regulation and review regulation 2010, guys, and the working together to safeguard children guide. I believe this is what I will be using in my role. That was how you answer the question on question 2. And then question 3, I don't know, I think after question 3 I will cut this video and then I will continue. Maybe I'll take these questions in threes, because once it is a too much long video we struggle to load it, right? So I'll stop maybe after question 3. Then question and then when you summarize the answer, I'll say, with all this knowledge of policies and legislation pertaining to children, I believe I'll be the perfect candidate for this post. Yeah. Question 3, what do you consider to be important aspects to cover in an assessment on a child and family circumstances? Remember, I said assessments are very important. So here's the answer. Assessment is a core activity in social work practice with individuals, with families, with groups, with organizations, and with communities. A good assessment should incorporate the assessment triangle as a tool, which is what I told you in the previous question. In undertaking assessments, I use the assessment triangle, which I told you. Assessment should be completed with the recommended time scale, which is 10 days for initial assessment and 45 days for core assessment. They are very important. Should capture a voice of the child. That is very important. How your assessment should capture the voice of the child, which encompasses the child's views and feelings by undertaking direct work with the child, guys, and then tell them how do you do it. In order to capture the voice child, I speak to the child alone, and because maybe the child might get intimidated and might not be open enough. Even the Children's Act in South Africa talks about the importance of using the voice of the child, hearing them out. Even here, it's made important when they say the voice of the child has proven to be very crucial to, and may even lead to, deaths which could have otherwise been prevented, as seen in some serious case reviews. They call them serious case reviews when a child has died through abuse, through neglect, and so forth. There are many. We've got Victoria Climby. You can check Victoria Climby. We've got Baby P and all of that. So again, going back to the things that need to be considered when we do good assessments, it should incorporate principles underpinning assessment as enshrined in the UK Children's Care Act number 89. Should have a good analysis. By good analysis, we say an analysis that balances the risk and protective factors. Here are the risks, but what are the protective factors? E.g., what are the family strengths? What are the areas of improvement? Every family might have its own strengths. It might not be having problems only or challenges only. And there's what we call here, which I was not familiar with in South Africa, or we might using another one. We can have a discussion also on this, on what we use in South Africa. But here they use what we call a signs of safety model. Signs of safety model. Go and check it. Its domains are harm, danger statements, like I will throw myself in the breach, complicating factors, existing strengths, existing safety goals, and professionals' next step. It should include the views of other professionals, as we have seen on some of the serious case reviews in the UK. Lack of sharing information by professionals contributed in some of the deaths of other children. I'm not going to mention them because I want you to check them or to ask me so that we have a conversation. It should consider family chronology, should have a good plan, and the plan should take a SMART concept. A SMART concept would mean specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, and it should be completed in a timely fashion. That's question 3. I'm going to close this video and continue question 4, 5, 6, 7, and stop at 7 to avoid having long videos. Find me in the next video, because now I'm doing what I said I will not be doing, giving you answers to the questions. But be creative, because you might fail the interview if you quote me directly. Be creative. Cheers. See you soon. Now.